Hi everyone, it's Jen. I'm going to try to do something a little bit different here today since I'm planning on doing a kind of burnout recovery series. So I'm going to attempt to just kind of doodle here, work on some art. It's a way of decompressing while chatting. So my head's going to be down most of the time because I'm working on my tablet. And it's a little awkward for me because I have to have this pop filter because of how badly I pop my P's and T's. I don't want to hurt your guys' ears, so let's just see how this works out. And if you guys would prefer for me to just talk over a screen capture of like my drawing, or if this series is not interesting to you at all, I apologize. I will get back into development type stuff pretty soon, but I feel like it's really important not to gloss over this whole kind of burnout aspect of the process, because I think it's something that as a creator I've never really wanted to confront or talk about, and it's not I think it's something that all creators kind of have to go through, but something that we don't really acknowledge in the industry, because it's not a fun part of the process. It's not an inspirational part of the process. It's like the low after the high, and I imagine a lot of things that are tied to making goals and reaching success, maintaining that success or that momentum, or acknowledging that it's unsustainable, that you have to kind of give yourself permission to rest, to do things in a sustainable way, is not a very glamorous story that most people want to talk about, but I find it to be a very real part of the process, so I don't want to pretend that it doesn't exist for me. So a weekly update. After OtomeJam, I did, I think, what a lot of creators, even though I am making these games for myself as a means of entertainment, self-expression, and just, a way of self-reflecting and working through some of my own issues, and hopefully having a chance to share that with some people. It's impossible not to be wanting to get some feedback, and once you put your project out there, I'm not gonna lie and say that I don't look at the analytics to see if anybody's looking at it or downloading it, and read any comments that are made. So how do I handle this? I think this part is probably very difficult for a lot of people, at least it is for me. Not only because, it's not like a jealousy thing necessarily, where it's because I don't get enough views that I get depressed or something. There was a point in time in my career where I used to get more reviews and more feedback from people who were kind of following my work at the time, and it never gave me a sense of security that I was looking for. It never affirmed me enough to get me through my burnout process, even though I was searching for that affirmation. And one could argue, well, you weren't that popular, so maybe if you had been more successful, then it would have been fulfilling in and of itself enough. The reason why it didn't work for you is because you weren't getting enough. If you had gotten millions of viewers and millions of feedback, then maybe that would have been enough to get you over those kind of post project depression. And yeah, I can't say that that wouldn't have done it for me, because I've never had that level of success. But when I look at, I guess, content creators who are successful, I don't know that I see people who are I can't relate to them, I guess. Like, I can't see myself being able to be somebody who would be magically happy and fulfilled just because I got like 1,000 views or whatever, you know. I don't know what's considered successful and failure these days, 1,000,000 views or those types of comments. Like, yeah, I don't know that would be what I'm looking for. Like, what am I looking for? Kind of the same thing that I'm always looking for with any of my interactions with people and with relationships. Like, I'm looking to make like meaningful connections, and I don't think that I could do that regardless of the number of followers. Like, if I can make a meaningful connection with like one person, then that kind of is more meaningful to me than like making I don't know, getting a bunch of clicks and views and stuff. So I don't really know where I'm going with this. I guess I'm just trying to say like my thought processes as I like kind of like get out of this burnout, and I'm feeling like especially vulnerable to like criticism or to like feeling like, you know, those kind of feelings like, why am I even doing this? Nobody's looking at this. Like, nobody wants this. This is just a waste of time. Those kinds of negative thoughts that like start to creep into your mind even when you know better. These kind of depressing thoughts. So that's kind of where my mind has been like fighting against. And I don't think the answer is, at least for me, I don't think the answer is, you know, oh, you need to advertise more, get yourself out there more, you need to follow this marketing model and blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't think getting more clicks and views and trying to cater to people is going to, like, make me happy in my process. I think that this is just a natural result of, like, pushing myself too far. And I think whenever you push yourself too far, you're going to end up with like kind of unrealistic expectations or hopes and dreams or whatever it is, you know, to say, oh, well, all my hard work would be like paid off if XYZ happened. Like, I just don't think that there's like a cure for this part of the cycle where I'm feeling kind of down about everything. I think that I just am fatigued, and it leaves me in a vulnerable state where I think I'm looking for something to kind of like cure this feeling, but I just really need to get through this feeling more than anything else. So what am I doing? I'm trying to do things that I did not do in the past. So some of the things that did not help me deal with burnout in the past, that in retrospect I'm like, I should do something differently, is that a lot of times I didn't give myself permission to work on other things. Like when I was deep in a project, I didn't give myself permission to like not work on that project because I felt guilty. Because I'm like, well, I have to be, if I'm gonna draw, I gotta draw like assets for this project because otherwise I'm not gonna make any progress. So I would a lot of times like force myself to work on things that maybe I would have had more fun working on something else, but I felt like I had to work on this other thing because I had already like committed to it, whether in a contract or in my mind. And it didn't allow me to, you know, to take breaks from it and work on something else. Like if I'm gonna work, I have to work on this one thing. So right now, what am I doing? I'm just drawing a character for nothing, for no reason, not to post, not to like put in a game asset. This is just a character, you know, doodle that I'm just doing for fun, for pure fun, because I haven't drawn this character in a while. And yeah, and I'm just not making any particular scene that will be useful in the future or anything. I'm just doodling this character for fun. In fact, I'm not even using his color palette that I have. I'm just picking colors that I think are close to his color palette and I'm just going to use these because I'm not planning on using this illustration in anything where I will need to have matched his colors exactly. So, and I'm not layering his artwork. Most of the time I would be doing these line art and color with certain groupings and layers because I'm planning on animating it. Well, not this time. I'm just doing the line layer and the color layer, and I'm not going to prep it for anything further. So that's going to kind of allow me to rest my brain and just kind of enjoy doodling for fun. So where am I going with all this? In the past, I think a lot of times, doing art was not always as sometimes lonely as it is these days as an adult. Most of my friends have kind of moved on. Most of my art friends have moved on in their life, and they have commitments, and I have commitments too, so a lot of times our schedules do not align. We're in different time zones. We kind of get in like little pieces of work here and there when we can, and so like coordinating this to like be able to like hang out and like chat while we're doing art is not something that we can normally do anymore like we did in the past. And so I am just sitting here talking to myself, pretending that I'm talking to somebody as a means of kind of recreating that kind of communal art that I used to do in the past that used to be like fun and social and relaxing. So let's see if this helps. We're going to just try different things because I won't pretend to like have all the answers to like solving my burnout. I just know what doesn't work for me, and I'm trying to force myself to break out of old patterns. So drawing something that's completely unwork related so that I can still kind of like enjoy some aspect of the creative process without putting any pressure on myself, and just kind of do it for enjoyment's sake. So that's step one that I'm trying to do. And I'm also using this opportunity to kind of like take a step back from what I'm doing and reevaluate like my plans going forward. So one of the things that I've been thinking about as I've been taking a step back from working on Soul Labyrinth and looking back at some of my work as a whole is that I would really like to go back and revisit my other projects, but I don't think I want to revisit them without doing some major rehauling. I don't think I want to go back and work on Soul Union with just like using everything that I've got and then just like, oh, I'm just gonna throw another character in here, using the same kind of like interface and code and like way my files are set up. Like everything is just like a giant mess that I don't want to like look at and deal with, and that's probably like why I haven't revisited, even though at one point like I was motivated to go back and revisit. It's like I open the project and I just look at it and it immediately like turns me off from wanting to work on it because it just looks like such a hot mess. So from coding standpoint, from artwork assets, there's a lot of things that are kind of like bugging me about it. Some of the stuff that's bugging me about it. So I'm bothered by the inconsistency of the artwork. When I started working on Soul Union, it was kind of my first big project, my first attempt at like really doing art and stuff after my long break. I was using a new program, Procreate, so I really wasn't used to like the brushes or the workflow yet, and I was experimenting with different coloring style and just kind of doing some different stuff. And in hindsight, like a lot of the artwork in that game was me trying to force myself to conform to like an experimental style that I was doing in the beginning, and I don't really want to keep on like coloring and drawing in that style. to most people it probably looks the same as like my stuff always does, but to me I can see like little things about like what I was trying to do with that style and coloring that I don't want to mimic anymore. Like, I'm actually much happier with where my style is these days than I've ever been in my entire life, and I want to keep going with like the style that I'm using in Soul Labyrinth. And I would like to, I feel like I would be much more motivated to work on art for Soul Union, whether it be CGs or implementing new characters, if I could just redo all the art assets to conform to kind of like what I've been doing these days. Including like I'd like to do actual drawn backgrounds and everything to just give it that more overall cohesive polish that I'm pleased with how it turned out in Soul Labyrinth. And there's some things about the character animation that I like, but the techniques that I'm using better nowadays than when I was first starting on Soul Union. So yeah, there's, besides the gameplay element and wanting to kind of like redesign certain levels and stuff like those those tunnels, and kind of rework like when the companions are first summoned. Like, there's a lot of things that I want to go through and change that didn't meet my original vision, that I would like to give this story and characters a little bit more justice. So at some point I'm gonna have to go back and just restart Soul Union from the beginning. I just have to decide like where is a good point to start going back and reworking Soul Union from the beginning, because I don't want to restart it with just like very small changes planned and then like have to restart it again because like I've kind of grown and acquired more skills again. Like, I want to be able to revisit it in a way where like, okay, I have a clear path of like what I need to change. I'm feeling very comfortable in my approach, and I want to restart this because I've actually acquired like all the skills that I need to go forward to bring this story to the place where it needs to be, where it was like lacking, where I can fully compensate for like the things that were lacking. And maybe that's an unrealistic goal, because maybe my skills will never get to a point where I feel like I can check all those boxes, but I feel like right now it might still be too soon. I'm just getting off of this. I haven't even really finished the demo for Soul Labyrinth, and I've learned so much from that very short project that I feel like I should probably go back and at least work on getting the point and click elements to be integrated in the way that makes for a better experience for the player and conveys the storytelling more. Use it a little bit more to, I guess, integrate with the storytelling aspects a little bit better, to enhance that a little bit better. Get all those parts moving, or get those parts refined within at least the context of the demo before I start using that framework to like go back and revisit Soul Union. But I just wanted to let you guys know that's kind of like where my mind is going right now, is that I really would like to revisit Soul Union. Well, I think I'm finally done with this doodle. I think I've done about as much with it as I can right now. Thanks for keeping me company while I just kind of slowly work through my burnout. Hope you have a good day. Bye.